Welcome back to Attack on Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen. We have our first round of Dallas Cowboys 53-man roster cuts abound, and we got 8 players that we need to discuss that have just been sent to the unemployment line, unfortunately for you guys. Let's get right into it. Be sure to subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content on the regular, and I'm for real though. Y'all subscribe, bro. I'm going to be locked in with all the news that you need from this 53-man cut deadline. You want to be up to date on the latest, subscribe to your boy. Let's get right into it. Shut your up. All righty, we can see here we have all of the releases, waves, and all that other stuff right here for the Cowboys. Obviously, we covered the news about La'el Collins already. I think the Cowboys may be planning to try to get him back to the practice squad, but I'm not completely sure. But in addition to La'el Collins, they have released offensive lineman Nick Broker, and this is the guy I believe came from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a free agent, and he kind of like he got passed around like a blunt this offseason. I think he went to like 3 different teams in one offseason. So yeah, he's off the list. Denzel Daxon, we got rid of a defensive tackle. I'm actually kind of surprised about this because we need tackles on this team. We need nose tackles. We need guys that can play that 1 tech. We need guys that can play that 0 tech. And right now, that just looks like Mazi Smith and Jay Toia. And then I'm going to be honest. This right here bodes well for Mazi Smith's chances, y'all. The fact that they released Denzel Daxon, I don't know why people think they're just going to outright release a Mazi Smith. The Cowboys have never just outright released a first-round pick. Even Taco Charlton, I believe they ended up actually trading him to the Miami Dolphins. I'm not completely sure. I can't remember. I've slept since then. But I highly doubt they just outright release a Mazi Smith if they do anything with him. I absolutely could see them trading him for like a late day 3, early day 3 type of pick, a 5th-round pick, something like that. And I think that would be you trying to get as much value as possible. So I don't want them to release Mazi. If they can't trade him before the deadline, then they need to go ahead and just keep him on the roster because you don't get rid of that kind of value when you can absolutely still trade him to a team that probably feels like they can do better with him than the Cowboys have done. And to his credit, he has had a couple of different defensive coordinators. I believe 3 different defensive coordinators. They asked him to lose weight when he got here. There's a lot of confusion as it pertains to what they wanted him to be on the NFL level. So I do think that his start with the Cowboys kind of stunted his growth. So Mazi Smith not going nowhere, y'all. I can tell y'all right now, just based off of what Brian Broaddus and other people reported, Nick Harris, everyone's pretty much alluding to the fact that Mazi Smith will be on this roster. So don't expect to see him cut anytime soon. Josh Kelly, the wide receiver, I think he was like out of Western Kentucky or something like that. He was cut. And this is a very, very competitive wide receiver room. And this is going to be the first wide receiver cut towards that 53-man roster projection. So he is out of the game as it pertains to trying to get that wide receiver 4, 5, or 6 spot. We have Tyler Neville. He was the first tight end cut. And we also have John Stevens Jr., another tight end cut by the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this one is kind of interesting for me because John Stevens Jr. is a guy that they have had a lot of hope for over the last couple of seasons, at least the last coaching staff. They really believed in the John Stevens Jr. and they wanted him to get out on that field, but he has just not been able to stay healthy. I always say your best ability is availability. If you're not available to me, then, what good are you to me? And I'm not trying to say it in a rude way, but I don't want to see them cut a guy like a Rivaldo Fairweather or cut a guy like a Princeton Font whenever those guys, to all we know, have been healthy. And John Stevens Jr. has not. We need to get healthy players on this team. We don't need to have another situation where we're waiting on 5, 6, 7, 8 guys coming back from the IR. And John Stevens Jr., those back-to-back knee injuries, they pretty much ruined his chance to play for the Dallas Cowboys in a meaningful way, unfortunately. But that's kind of how the cookie crumbles in these type of situations. Again, your best ability is availability. Next up, Tyler Neville. I kind of briefly mentioned him before, but this was the guy that came out of, I can't remember exactly what schools he came from. I want to say like Virginia Tech or West Virginia or something like that. Stanford and West Virginia or something like that. But either way, this was the tight end that had a nice background, a nice story to him. But again, in a super competitive tight end room, it just was no room for a Tyler Neville to make this roster. And then Troy Pride was released or waived by the Dallas Cowboys. This is the guy that's essentially, I think he's been starting on the outside for us this offseason. Kyer Elam hasn't been playing in the preseason. So I believe it's been Troy Pride and Andrew Booth Jr. Apparently, They like Andrew Booth Jr. More than Troy Pride. Apparently, they trust Andrew Booth Jr. to go out there. I am really hoping and praying, and I'm on my knees, pause, that Trevon Diggs' ass will be ready to play week 1 because, oh my goodness, if we have Andrew Booth out there on the field, he gonna be get mixed up like he in a DJ booth, and I'm not trying to see that, especially against the Philadelphia Trash Pigeons. I want to ruin their homecoming, and we need somebody that can cover the outside with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown out there. Andrew Booth, he is going to be barbecue chicken alert if either of those guys see him out there, and I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful to one of our guys. I'm just keeping it a buck. So if Troy Pride got waived and Andrew Booth ends up staying on this team, then, I mean, that's honestly surprising, especially considering just a little background nugget here. Andrew Booth's agent is David Mulligetta. So I'm actually surprised that they're opting to keep an Andrew Booth, at least right now. I'm actually surprised that they're opting to keep an Andrew Booth, as his agent is someone that's giving the franchise really big problems as we currently speak, right? So I don't know about that one. I think that I'm in the camp of, hey man, let's get rid of those David Mulligetta clients. Let's just get rid of him. Dealing with any of the guys, dealing with our organization. I'm going to be completely honest. I feel like David Mulligetta hasn't axed the grind. No, I don't feel like. I know David Mulligetta hasn't axed the grind, and he's trying to convince guys this on his clientele list that Jerry is this or that. And we just don't have time for those games, y'all. We don't have time for the games. Y'all talk about drama, and we want to get rid of drama. We need to get rid of anybody that's attached to that drama. And as of right now, David Mulligetta, agent, is attached to some of the drama on our team. Malik Hooker, Andrew Booth, George Pickens, and Micah Parsons are all of his clients. I'm hoping and praying. I am hoping and praying that before next offseason, George Pickens ends up moving off of David Mulligetta, man. Go to any of the other guys working at Athletes First. Does not David Mulligetta, George Pickens. Please, man. Please, I want to have some type of hope of retaining him, because if this negotiation with Micah Parsons and Jerry continues to boil over, then I can easily see this agent holding a grudge against the Cowboys and not having George Pickens return. Now, unless George is like, hey, man, I just really want to be here, and if you're not going to facilitate that, then you're fired. Hopefully that's the case with a George Pickens. But, hey, man, Andrew Booth is kind of giving me some PTSD, bro. You got to show me, Andrew. I don't want to keep talking crazy about you, but you're going to have to show me, cuz. I ain't from Missouri, but you got to show me, cuz. All right, but Christian Matthew, the other cornerback that was waived as well. Remember, he was brought in. I think he was with Matt Eberflus at Chicago for like a short stint. And he was brought in as a camp body to kind of help us get through the preseason. But either way, those are all of the players that have been released by the Dallas Cowboys thus far. Now, the thing that's most interesting from this first round of releases is we get a little bit more of a picture of what this defensive tackle room is going to look like and what the tight end room is going to look like. John Stevens Jr. and Tyler Neville being released means that Princeton Font and Rivaldo Fairweather are the two excess tight ends remaining on the roster. Other than that, the top three are Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, Brevin Spanford. Are they going to keep 4 tight ends, or are they only going to keep 3? Who is going to be that 4th tight end if they keep him? We know they're not going to keep 5, so they have to decide between Princeton Font and Rivaldo Fairweather, the all-time Auburn receptions leader, the guy who's a seam expert. So I think that he probably meshed the best with your quarterback, if I'm being completely honest. But we will see how that turns out. Denzel Daxon being the first of the defensive tackles released. There's still guys like Ernest Brown. There's still guys like Jay Toia. There's still guys like Mazi Smith. Very interested to see where all of that goes. But either way, man, let me know down in the comments below, who are you looking forward to, or not looking forward to, but who are you predicting is going to get cut between now and the deadline tomorrow? Let me know down in the comments below. Until next time, how about them Cows?
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.